to a screen, at least you're not sounding so crazy because you're talking to other human beings and they get to react and they get to say, ah, no, yes. Gary, how's your connection? Is it okay? Is it good?
Yeah, dude. Can you hear me good?
Yeah, yeah, okay. We'll roll with this. This is good. All right, it is 2 p.m. We're just gonna stop the music right now. And I want to say thank you very much for joining the KADEK Ardana in webinar. This is now, I'm gonna get this wrong, our 7th webinar. Is that right, Alex?
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Our
is.
7th webinar. You know, at the very beginning, I was worried because we were not gonna find speakers to speak at the webinar because finding 3 speakers is quite a challenge. And here we are, and we're gonna keep on going until we run out of speakers. Uh, but let's see what happens then. It's a crazy week. I think for me, the saddest moment was when they extended the lockdown until 8 February. I think we can all agree we were just so angry about it because I had clients who were trying to fly in, and some clients were trying to fly in. They got angry at us. They got angry at the agency that we used to book in. It's a really crazy moment right now, and I just want to rip out whatever legislation has been implemented. And I always say, hey, uh, take this opportunity to unite in this standstill. And I was really hoping that this webinar I could say, wow, the borders are open. You know, now it's time to act what we just discussed for the past 7 months. Whatever we discussed now, there's no excuses. The borders are open, the customers are coming. We have to start business again in a great way. And here we are, and we're still in the lockdown. Now, before I hand it off to Alex, who's gonna talk about the Bali Pledge and why this is such an amazing movement, I want to say a big thank you to our 3 speakers today. We have Gary Benchegib, who started Sungai Watch and Make a Change World. He's quite world famous. His Instagram blows up with followers. He's met the president. Thank you very much, Gary. We have KADEK Ardana from Tegal Sari Accommodation. And today he's very, very helpful because he wants to share more about the beginning of Rumah Compost, one of the most amazing waste management projects in Ubud. And little do you know, today he wants to share a secret that he was actually one of the secret founders. And KADEK be like, no, don't say anything. I don't want to be known. But yes, it is true. And we have ENDRA Setyawan from Yayasan Lengis HIJAU, such a great collaborative project because they focus on turning waste oil into biofuel as well as candles. Little did you know, I actually visited their factory and I saw all these amazing candles, and we'll talk about that in a second. But without further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Alex, who's going to share about the Bali Pledge. Big round of applause for Alex.
Thank you, Krishna. And I'd like to start by really thanking Krishna for the incredible moderation he's doing. Thank you all the speakers for coming and speaking today. My name is Alex. I'm the founder of Big Greener, a community of mindful business owners who come together to make a positive, tangible impact in Bali in our communities. We started Refill My Bottle. We supported the communities when Agung erupted, when there were some earthquakes in Indonesia. And really the idea is, you know, in any situation, it's easy to go into victim mode and to just feel sorry for ourselves. But, you know, crisis means also opportunity. And we want to bring some fresh air of opportunity in this time where it says, okay, what is the underlying message? How can this be an incredible opportunity? How could that be? And to be honest, I think many people would agree that the way tourism was growing over the world was just not making any sense. And the way we've been trying to curve and change the direction was not just working. You know, whatever the voice was not loud enough. You had Greta Thunberg or all these really incredible people, but the message was not coming across. And finally, with COVID, everybody's listening. So if we were to look at the situation and say, okay, what if this was a message and what could be the underlying message there? So that's really where we come up with the Bali Pledge. BaliPledge.org is based on the idea that mass tourism is dead. And we enter the era and the age of intentional travel. All we say is, what is your intention if you are in Bali? If you live in Bali, if you work in Bali, if you come to Bali as a traveler, what is your intention? Because if you set an intention, if you know why you do something, then of course you're going to do it right. You know, the problem is when we don't put intentions in life. So with the right intention, we could really reinvent the future of tourism for Bali. In a nutshell, and there's a lot of studies around that, Bali could very well become the #1 wellness destination in the world. And there is a recipe for wellness called KADEK Ardana. If I want to be well, I need everyone around me to be well. You know, if someone gets sick in Wuhan, the whole world is catching a cold. I cannot be well alone. You know, I am part of a community. How can I be fully integrated in my community? And by taking care of them, I take care of myself. I cannot be disconnected from nature. If I'm disconnected from nature, of course, you know, the food I eat, the water I drink, the air I breathe, I have to be mindful of my environment. And finally, and this is something that is very Balinese, I have to assume that I'm not just flesh and bones. I am a spiritual being having a human experience. So if I acknowledge that, yes, I have to nourish my connection to some spiritual being, then all of a sudden I can feel completely integrated. With that in mind, this is where we come up with the Bali Pledge, simply guiding people to set an intention to reflect, why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you on that journey? Why are you breathing? And I'm very grateful for this community. And look at the names in this chat. Look at the people here. It's 90% Balinese. And I'm very, very happy and very proud of that. And I have to really thank all the speakers for coming weeks after weeks, because this is not, and that was my intention from the beginning, I didn't want it to be just another group of boulets who come and just tell how things should be. No, if we want to do this, we need to unite. We need to do it together without really having an agenda of who's behind. And really, I love that this has really been taking off. And most of the people signing the pledge are Balinese. And that's fantastic, because at the end of the day, you guys, this is your destination. It is to be, you have to own it and define what kind of tourism you want to attract. And, you know, us who are just passing by, supporting, living, taking advantage of this beautiful land, we want also to be fully respecting your intentions. So with that in mind, thank you so much for joining the Bali Pledge. Thank you so much for being in this webinar. And I hand over to you, Krishna.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Alex. This webinar is really a team effort. We find the speakers because they come recommended from the audience, they come recommended from our community. So by the way, if you know anybody who deserves to have a voice, to have their message spread, please reach out to any one of us, either Alex or myself, and we will put them as a speaker. Okay. So thank you again, the people who just joined in. We have Ralph from the practice. We saw Sukma from Fairfield Kuta Marriott, you know, big chain, obviously. So thank you very much for joining in. We're gonna choose our first speaker, Gary Benchegib. Now, I'll be honest, I've always had a sense of jealousy because he's met the president. I mean, it's like, how many people can actually say they've met the president of Indonesia? You have to either be super famous or super powerful. Is Gary just that? We'll get to know a bit in a second. So Gary was most famous when he blew up, when he canoed down the Citarum River with his founded nonprofit, Make a Change World. It created such a bubble, such a wave of support that the Ministry of the Environment and President Jokowi had to meet Gary. And then there was a verbal commitment from the president himself that, Gary, I will help you in your project. Now, I could say more about Gary. He's a filmmaker. He does documentaries. He's also really good looking. But why not hear it from Gary himself? Gary Benchegib, you have the floor. Say hello to everybody in the audience.
Thank you, Krishna. Amazing. Thank you. And thank you, Alex, for having me on. What you guys have created is all different stakeholders all together, discuss, the future of Krishna. I all the comments, but I'm just a regular guy. Grew up on this beautiful island. Been here for 16 years. So I am a Bali kid. I say that I'm anak Badung.
Hey, anak Badung.
I grew up here and really, this fashion problem firsthand. So at the age of 14, with my brother and sister, Sam and Kelly, we decided that we wanted to do something about it. This was, 2009, when environmentalism wasn't so sexy. You could say, it was this really not regarded as, the hottest stuff. Not many people cared about it, at least. So we started off as a beach cleanup organization, but very quickly saw that 90% of plastics in our ocean are actually coming from rivers and streams. So that's where, the idea sparked. Why don't we go down the world's most polluted river in the world, which actually happens to be in Indonesia? Just one Google search away, and we were completely shocked to find out that it was the Setyawan River, just south of Bandung, going just east of Jakarta, and had the crazy idea of going down the river on 2 plastic bottle kayaks. That trip changed my life forever, to show me the real problem of plastic pollution in this country. And since then, I even have nightmares whenever it rains of just this plastic that's gushing down our rivers.
Gary, you're breaking a little bit, I think, of the connection. But
See my...
yeah, you're breaking a little bit.
Cool.
Yeah, we can see your screen. We can see your screen.
This is a little video. This is literally the situation I'm in right now. All this trash. It's like everywhere. So this is a little snippet from our trip down the Cheetah Room. As you can see, it's a river. I literally got stuck in this plastic berg where the river was entirely filled with plastics. It was filthiest thing that I've ever seen. At least on Bali, we've been focusing around solutions of how to prevent this plastic pollution from going into our ocean. So by installing simple trash barriers. For the last year, we've been experimenting with 8 different types of barriers, and these are 2 of the ones that we have in the water that are quite efficient. Up until now, we have 25 barriers that have been set up in South Bali between Badung and Tabanan. For example, the one on the left, that's for like the Subak, the water irrigation channels of the rice fields. That river is about 2 meters wide. And just this month alone, we're able to capture 500 kilos of plastics in that one system. That's just plastic pollution. It doesn't include wood and organic waste, which is probably 5 times more the volume of plastic. But this is a forever ending mission. Like every day, it started sort of as a community project from seeing, this problem growing year by year on the island. Really focus at the end of villages where we can make the most amount of impact and capture as much waste as possible. On the right is our floater. This is just a very simple trash barrier made from PVC pipes and galvanized steel frame. And this one as well has been quite effective. We now have about 12 of these set up between, Canggu, Torerenan, Braban, Intabanan, next to Tanalat. And they're doing their justice. So they're floating, going up and down with the rivers, with the swells. And I would say, that January, especially in next month, are going to be our biggest test months to make sure, that our trash barriers are effective. So far, both of these models have worked really well in the high rains. We can collect up to 50 kg of plastic in one system. The one to the right, the worst that it's been is like 3 tons in one day. So you can just imagine the work of going in the river and picking it up. So it's very much of a manpower effort. And then our latest barrier is our walker. This one we've installed in Batubilig. It's our first ever system like this. This system you can actually walk on. So it makes river cleaning a lot easier. But what you have in the river is just one day's worth, which is so much trash. So, as again, a big majority of it is organic waste. This is actually the river that divides Batubilig to Brawa. So right at the heart of Canggu Seminyak area. It's actually, divides Café Del Mar. They've given us part of their land to use it. But, like 2 weeks ago, on one of the biggest rains of the year, this huge tree came crushing down and the barrier opened up. So we're constantly learning, some of the lasts in the back of the elements were not strong enough. So we're learning every single day about, what are the best mechanisms possible. Luckily, we didn't lose any of the elements or anything from the barrier. We actually just set it back up this morning. So I'm actually fresh from the river. The trash barrier is back on its feet, and we're really excited to see what we're able to catch. But I think all this to say that what I witnessed on the cheetah room was really just probably the most eye-opening experience for me. And now with Sungai Watch, I think one of our biggest focus is not just to stop this plastic pollution from entering the ocean, because that's really, a short-term solution. This is not like a term solution. You can't say like block every rivers and the beach is going to be clean. You really need to start making your way up. So just as we moved from the beach to the rivers, now more than ever, we're seeing that we need to address plastic pollution in our villages on land with much better ways and a lot more awareness. So all this to say that our trash barriers are an amazing symbol to get villages to think differently about their waste. When they see us cleaning up every day, when they're engaging with us in our cleanups, I think that, it's a really great opportunity for them to think about plastic pollution in a different perspective. You're seeing floating debris, you're seeing the smells. We've got dead pigs. Every day there's like a dead animal. This morning was a dead chicken in one of our barriers. Sometimes, it could be a dead cat. So it's very visual, very sensory perspective. But then, we focus on the true solution of what next. What happens with the trash that we're collecting? So we just released our first river plastic report, which is an in-depth report analyzing all of the trash that we've picked up from a couple months of cleanups. And with that, we're looking at plastic bags. In Bali, there was a ban on plastic bags in June 2019, but 18.2% of the trash that we're collecting is plastic bags. So you're seeing that, the ban in place is not that effective. And if you're looking at the straight leakage of plastic pollution in our rivers and looking at it in terms of data, then you can approach the issue in a very different light. What type of socialization needs to be done? How can we approach more of a local, like let's say pasars or things like that? And we go an extra step to actually tackle brands. And that's, that's not just a shame and name and shame, which is definitely not our focus, but we want to get a conversation and open dialogue with some of these corporates. So, whether it's ABC Coffee, which is one of the highest brands that super high brands to hold accountable allows us to have real open dialogue. So we just released this plastic report earlier this week, and next week we're already meeting the 3 most biggest polluting brands in Bali's rivers in our report. So I think that you're seeing direct action, and in turn, we need to start looking at some of the solutions. How can we work together with brands? I know that brands change overnight. Say no more. It's gonna take a couple of years. They have to show them how much they're contributing to this big. Can try to tackle this problem one step at a time. So, thank you guys for listening.
Thank you, Gary. It feels like you've done presentations for quite some time now, and the photos are quite visual. It's a shame there's a small internet issue, so it's a shame that it didn't do you justice. But my God, you are already such a great presenter. I got a lot to learn from you, and really, good luck to the companies who are going to meet you, because you not only have all this evidence, but you are you. So it's like the companies cannot ignore you. So thank you very much, Gary. I have so many questions for you in our second part of the panelist discussion, but amazing job so far. And I've got to say, man, you have so much going for you, and you have all my support, So thank you, Gary.
Thank you.
Amazing. Our second speaker is somebody who doesn't want to be known. He's somebody who likes to work in the background. He's somebody running a eco-friendly place, Tegal Sari Accommodation, and he doesn't like to be called this, but I call him anyway. It's my webinar. What is he gonna do? I call him the secret founder of Rumah Compost in Ubud. I present to you KADEK Ardana. KADEK Ardana, thank you to be a speaker. Say hello to everybody.
Hey, thank you, Krishna. Hi, everybody. Yeah. Okay, Krishna.
So first of all, do you hate me?
No, it's okay. Although I already reminded you, but it's okay. Yeah, Krishna, it's true that. Please. Actually, I started in to run the business, or my family business, in 2003. Yeah. And because I was in a corporate company earlier, and then in 2010, I realized I think we need to establish our vision and mission, resetting our goals, and etc. And include environment preservation is one of them. Then we started some initiatives, having our own compost facilities in the hotel. We have turning our garden almost 50 ara. 50 ara is about
5,000 meters squared.
Yeah. Organic garden. Yeah, we have a solar pump, solar hot water resources. Yeah, and then we set up our organic restaurant, and of course an efficiency in terms of electricity, water, etc. We have our water waste system. We tried some system. Yeah, we have 3 different methods, and then we also try to include the guest participation by not providing bottles in the room. Instead, we provide in several spots in our hotels, water refills. We offering our free bicycle for our guests to if they want to, So instead of having
I would say, yeah. So, when I was doing research about the Tegal Sari Accommodation, really, you guys are doing a lot that, for example, Serenity is doing, but you don't rename yourself as Tegal Sari Accommodation, and that's really interesting because you're just doing it to help the environment, to empower people, but you're doing it very, the French word is nonchalant, very, anonymous, just you're just doing your thing. So it's interesting to understand, is do you need help with marketing, or is this just the style that you like to run in a way that you have to be good for the environment, and you're just doing it just because. And later we'll talk about rumah compost, but just what is the mindset behind it? What's pushing you to do all these things?
To do all this initiative.
Yes.
Yeah, our care, I went to several places, Jakarta, even India, and then once I even cried there, just in a hotel, and when I saw Kenji, river, and I saw several several movement there. They made magazine, and then in the hotel, and I cried, and then I made a promise in myself. I had to do something. At least I made the same thing, a magazine, to create awareness, something like that. That's why then externally in the hotel we start to have impact outside of our hotel. We produce at the beginning a magazine about environment things, and then we do education to some school around our hotels. We then sponsored some families in one alley, about 30 families at the beginning. We serve them we give them facilities to so they
Composting.
separate. No. So, composting for one, but for non-organic, yes, for non-organic garbage, we provide them like what we call a bag that can be washed, and we return and replace. That is for 1 year, and then until then, at the end, the village take over and ask me to be one of the,
You see, and that's why I call you the secret founder, because not many people know the background work that was happening before Rumah Compost was founded. Rumah Compost was founded in 2012, but before that, there was energy being started in the project, and it started with just that. When your family business with your initiative started with one alley for them to separate their waste, and then their organic waste to become fertilizer, that was the precursor, the beta before the launch of Rumah Compost. That's how it started.
Yeah.
Right? And you just did it because for fun. What was the reason? You just like, hey, this is gonna be really funny if we have people to separate their waste. What was the initial reason that you started with the alley?
Oh, at that time, actually, I noticed the people there, our villagers there, actually want to have this just the service, of garbage service, pickup service. But at that time, the service available only take those along the way. Beside the ways, big street. Yeah, while our topography is like, Ubud, we have alley and about 300 meters river, another 300 meters on the other side is river. So then they have no choice. They just used to throw it to the river, and then, it's still going on until that time.
So
that's
actually, I have a video of Rumah Compost, and I'm just going to share my screen to share a snippet of a little bit about Rumah Compost. It is an 8-minute video. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I just want people to really understand it. That's okay with you? All right?
Yeah.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right.
Selamat datang di Rumah Kompos Desa Adat Padang Tegal. Memasuk menjadi tumpukan kompos. Fasilitas pengolahan memiliki luas sekitar 40 are. Dalam melaksanakan Sampah non-organik adalah sampah yang berasal bukan dari makhluk hidup yang mudah terurai secara alami, seperti didorong ke mesin pencacah untuk menghasilkan potongan yang lebih kecil untuk mempercepat proses pengkomposan. Hasil cacahan kemudian dikumpulkan dan dibawa ke dalam bak pengkomposan untuk proses dekomposisi alami secara aerob.
So I want to talk about this for 1 second, Pak Kadek. So this is a big project, right?
Yeah.
This is not the project that you started with. What was the story behind this big project? So you mentioned that you started with the alley, and then in 2012, the government got involved and they created what is now today called Rumah Kompos. Do you want to share a bit about how it started? What's the story behind that?
Okay, at the beginning, I thought that by having or giving awareness to the people, that will be good, yeah. But in fact, awareness, information, knowledge doesn't mean when someone receives them is then people become or understand, or even if they understand doesn't mean then they become they can do it. If they can do it doesn't mean they can do it right, you know. So there is something related to unconscious mind, power of habit. Yeah. So to attack this, we need to have something more, what do you call, giving more impact. You know, for example, in our people in the village, or even, you know, those in authority, having a garbage facilities, recycling facilities, in their mind is must be something smelly, dirty, you know. So
Understood.
then we need to have some sample then that to managing a garbage is not that.
So if I understand correctly, I mean, from people who compost, they would say that such a facility is not needed, but because the government got involved, in their eyes, a waste facility has to look proper and big and structured. And this is why you have this thing. I'm just going to skip on a little bit to the end to share a bit about what the other facilities of Rumah Kompos.
Muat ke dalam kontainer, menjaga dengan sound system, bahan, Rumah Kompos Padang Tegal juga dilengkapi dengan ruang meeting kapasitas maksimal 40 orang. Teater edukasi dengan kapasitas maksimal 100 orang yang dilengkapi dengan sound system, proyektor, layar lebar, dan AC. Di sebelah dekat dengan fasilitas rumah, berdekatan dengan area edukasi outdoor, terdapat kebun permaculture seluas 3,6 are sebagai area edukasi penerapan konsep permaculture dalam bercocok tanam. Tempat di mana pengunjung dan belajar tentang.
All right. I just want to show a snippet because it's a long video. I didn't want to show the whole thing. But basically, you know, Rumah Kompos actually has a movie theater inside, and they also have a permaculture garden next to it. So we had a conversation some time back, and you know, we discussed about the financials of Rumah Kompos, and you mentioned that right now, if you're looking at the compost only, it's still losing money a little bit, right? And that is why you have all these external activities to push the revenue. Is that still the situation now with Rumah Kompos, Pak Kadek?
Yes, absolutely, yes, especially during the pandemic, yeah, because the government, okay, we got that aid, I mean, help from the government to build the new Rumah Kompos, which is the 40 ara squares, yeah. Before, our village built our own, yeah, with our financial sources, smaller. But the idea actually already at that time to be educational center. Yeah. So because, as I said, the belief there is what the theory that we adopt is the information, knowledge will then affect someone way of thinking, point of view, belief system, and then also then will affect their reaction or respond towards the issue, you know. So what is the issue? What we want to have to see the change. People not littering, people not throwing to the river, or people not burning the garbage. But then we realize it's not that easy just giving them socialization or information, because, you know, something, as I said, also affect their experience, their conditioning from childhood, you know, their interests, you know, the personal interest, you know, sometimes they know, but they still don't want to do it right correctly. So,
and I think it's going to be a very big point, because in the next part, we're going to have a discussion about, you know, why is it that it's so difficult to handle waste? And I think we'll have your opinion. Wait, you were saying something. I cut you off. I'm sorry. You were saying.
Okay, I answer your. I will come to your about the financial side. Yeah.
Yeah.
As I said, the building is then provided by the government, because we won several competition village that aware of environment issues. You know, then we got that aid. But to operate the facilities, we have to find out our own. You know, but basically, mainly from our fee, from the fee that we charge to those we give the service, family members, businesses, which is almost 700 businesses, shop, restaurant, hotels that we do. We serve 672 families. But now, yeah, with the pandemic, where most of the hotel and restaurant closed, that we don't receive that fee.
Okay.
And those that still open, we charge only 50%. So our income almost decreased 50%. So that's we step to do something else, you know, to earn revenues. That's how we then ran our what you call theater at the beginning of the pandemic. Now pandemic also not giving us do something in a closed door. So then we now start doing an organic farm, not only permaculture, which is a sample. We have an area which is only 3.5 acres. But now we do for 2.5 hectares farm for from 6 months ago, which is, you know, mainly we grow potatoes, sweet potatoes.
Sweet potato.
Yeah,
sweet potato.
Because we have monkey forest, we have to feed them. You know, anyway, when the monkey forest closed, we have to feed the monkeys.
Yeah. Wow. So that's super interesting. I mean, it's really sad, you know, that COVID affects everything and everyone, including Rumah Compost. I mean, sure, businesses are closing. Of course, they're not paying their rubbish fees. And you mentioned that 50% discounts are given for those who are still operating, which is crazy amount. So, Pak Kadek, thank you very much for explaining about, you know, Tegal Sari Accommodation, about Rumah Compost. And we'll have a great discussion in the next section with all the speakers all together. Thank you very much. And now to the third speaker. Last but not least, we have Pak ENDRA Setyawan. He's been a humanitarian. I killed that one. Humanitarian for the past 15 years, of which he spent the last 6 years as the director for Yayasan Lengis HIJAU, which is a project converting waste oil into something useful. It could be biofuel, it could be candles. Pak ENDRA, are you here, ready to talk?
Thank you, Krishna, for
bringing up
to this opportunity. And at the same time, allow me to thanks to Kyle King, who has given me this opportunity to know you all, and also to Green School, who has supported a lot since at least 2015 until today, to push us a lot to do research and a lot of development. That's the first. What we love to share in this opportunities that Yayasan Lengis HIJAU is actually kind of the social organization at the beginnings who try to take care the waste that not consider us a waste in Bali and especially in Indonesia. We start the development since 2011 when humanitarian organization named Caritas Swiss come along with us. Then we developed together the initiative, working with the local government, and it takes about 2 years just to determine where is the location and how we work. And at the beginnings, we working a lot with hotel and restaurant association. We meet with a lot of owner of hotel and restaurant. And during the meeting, we built our hope because all the owner of hotel and restaurant just say, just take it for free. The waste, it is waste, just take for free. Then we legally start the operation on 18 February 2013. And something's coming shock to us because when we pick up the waste cooking oil from hotel and restaurant that has just signed commitment with us, it's not easy to pick up the waste cooking oil. There is big business behind of the waste cooking oil at the times. Then we continue the development until 2015. Then 2014. Then we changed our model business into social enterprise. We established PT Bali HIJAU Biodiesel. So we try to compete with the market, but unfortunately, that's also not easy. It is difficult because when we try to provide compensation to waste cooking oil to hotel and restaurant, the market price of waste cooking oil also rise up. That's the first challenge that we face when we're dealing with hotel and restaurant. But luckily, still there are some good hotel and restaurant who support our business and our movement. That's also include the role of student of Green School who take initiative to come to hotel and restaurant asking where is the waste cooking oil and everything. At the same time, we try to start some advocacy to the government. And it is a good period for Yayasan Lengis HIJAU and Bali HIJAU Biodiesel. From 2014 until 2015, we managed to collect and distribute biodiesel to hotel and restaurant. In a month, we have to provide about 40 ton or 40,000 liter until 50,000 liter of biodiesel. But unfortunately, in 2015, at the end of 2015, the world price of petroleum diesel is really killing us.
It dropped. Yes.
Then our collection, our production also have to follow. But since then, we try to empower our business model. We try to find some diversification, and finally we meet with the production of bio-candle, bio-soap, and everything. But to give some clear description about what we do, Krishna, would you like to just for a minute play the video? So
I will absolutely play the video. So just want to remind that the negative impact of waste oil is out of this world. 1 liter of waste oil contaminates 1 million liters of fresh water. I'll repeat that. 1 liter of waste oil contaminates 1 million liters of fresh water. And I have to say, from all the speakers I've interviewed and met, this one is the most gray area in terms of saving the environment. You know, it's when you really understand that the more adult you are, the more you understand the issues for the environment are really not black and white, but are super gray. And I would just, you know, repeat what Pa Endra just said. First, in 2013, when they collected waste oil, there was a conflict there because there was already a black market for used cooking oil. So staff or employees would take the waste cooking oil from their hotels and restaurants and reuse it or resell it. And then in 2014, very interesting because Yayasan Lengis HIJAU created a PT. So that's a very rare occurrence where a Yayasan, a non-profit, switches into a PT, a for-profit company. And then in 2015, the world had a shock where the price of petrol dropped, and that impacted Lengis HIJAU. There's not many environmental initiatives that are impacted by the price of petrol, but Lengis HIJAU is. So this is one of those gray areas, super full of conflict, and it's really interesting to understand more. So yes, Pak Endra, I will play your video. Here we go. Here's the video. And action.
Selama ini minyak goreng dibuang ke lingkungan. 1 liter minyak goreng bekas dapat mencemari 500 liter air permukaan. Biotech menawarkan bahan bakar nabati yang berkualitas tinggi untuk digunakan sebagai aditif campuran solar atau juga dapat digunakan sebagai substitusinya.
Kita bersama, tidak masalah menggunakan biotech untuk genset seperti ini.
That's why kita memakai biotech sebagai generator genset kita di semua villa unit kita. Sebagai usaha nyata dalam mendukung pariwisata hijau, Yayasan Trian menggunakan produk dari biotech.
Pada saat saya hidupkan mesin bis, saya cium bau ayam goreng. Dan saya teriak, siapa yang makan di bis? Dari snalpot bis itu tercium ayam goreng. Itu kali pertama saya percaya kalau bis ini bisa jalan karena minyak goreng.
There were so many students coming in cars, and there was nothing in the car park, and the carbon footprint of that was quite large as well. And then they saw an issue on the island of Bali.
Minyak yang sudah terpakai belasan kali bahkan puluhan kali sudah dipakai goreng masih bisa dijual lagi, dan banyak orang yang tidak bertanggung jawab. Mereka jernihkan lagi dengan chemical seperti pembersih kolam.
It really impacts people's health and the environment in such a negative way. I mean,
Students come to us, they want to learn how is the negative effect of use cooking oil and how the process we make the biodiesel, and also to transfer to other product like soap, either liquid or solid. Then they start also help us giving education to hotel and restaurant. Once a week, they meet with chef and other restaurant staff. They convince that cooking oil is actually bad and can be harmful to human health. It is something that give us a second energy and give us another spirit to move forward with more strong activity and innovation on how we deal with this cooking oil in Bali.
Saya ada di depan orang-orang yang belum tahu. Ya, saya rasa semua orang pasti ingin Bali itu lebih maju, tapi tetap indah, tetap bagus, dan tetap sehat.
Thanks, Krishna.
Thank you, Endra. Thank you. That was an amazing video.
Yeah.
And
If
you
in the
know,
video I say that 1 liter cooking oil can harm 5 liter of waters, from the recent study, as Krishna say, it can harm at least 1 million water surface. And it is a big thing that now we try to campaign and to advocate again to the government and also local community. Just imagine in Bali, there are 1 million family where one family every month produce at minimum 2 liter until 4 liter waste cooking oil. And this total 4 million liter is thrown away to the land every month. And if we conclude that, it is, of course, give another warning to us in regard of the water quality, land, and everything. And especially in Bali, the texture of the land is mostly sandy and also easy to absorb all this liquid. And until today, the land has no capacity to process this with cooking oil.
wow.
This become bigger problem because economic reason and also limited product knowledge about how to use the cooking oils is never bring out by the supplier or producer of cooking oil. And in some practice, neglected family or street restaurant use cooking oil for frying until it's run out, and or they just refilling every times until it's turned dark. But still, a lot of people consume the food that produce or kind of proceed with this cooking oil.
And they don't know. They don't know how bad it is for you to use, to use cooking oil. But hey, it's c'est la vie, it's life. We all have to do what we can. Now, thank you, Pandra.
Another things, in
yes.
this case, there is a practice and community, they mix the used cooking oil into the sauce chili. And they said this is a good recipe to have a delicious food.
You know, the Indonesian in me is like, that sounds delicious. And I say with like full honesty, like anything that's a bit oily, I just love it. Thank you, Paendra. Paendra, we're going to enter the panelist discussion now. So we have Gary, Endra, and KADEK. Pa Gary, Pa KADEK, and Pa Endra. I have to say Pa out of respect. Now, take your turn. What is one action point you want the audience today to do? One action point, and we'll go with Gary first. Gary, what is one thing you want the audience to do?
Cool. I think thank you guys. Very engaging discussion, and I've heard of Bapak KADEK and Bapak Endra both for many years, but actually this is the first time that we connect. So huge honor to be sharing the stage and this Zoom. But if there's one thing I think for me in terms of plastic pollution, it would be to look at yourself and your plastic consumption in the mirror, sort of like how you look in the mirror at yourself every day, but look at your plastic pollution, look at what's inside your bin, and start to see, what can be reduced. So, from plastic bags, you really need those plastic bags. Start thinking about alternatives that already exist here on Bali to start reducing. Because I think that if everybody looks at themselves in the mirror in terms of the plastic pollution they produce every day, it needs to come from here.
That's deep, Gary. Look at yourself. People, look at yourself, look into your waste bin, see how much plastic you're wasting. My God, people. Thank you, Gary. And Pa KADEK, what about you? What is one action point you want the audience to do today?
Okay, today start your organic farm, because soil is the storage of the carbon. Not many people are aware of that. And to have organic garden or whatever, rice field or whatever, we need to have a lot of compost. And to support compost facilities wherever they exist will really big help. To buy from them or whatever, because to operate this is not easy. To increase the price of the compost beyond the market price is not reasonable. Will not acceptable. If we increase our fee to the this that for the service that we give, I mean, collecting garbage is also difficult. People see in Bali at the moment, garbage is not a big thing. If we charge them much, is not.
So Pak Kade says start your
normal.
organic farm, and don't forget that soil is a storage of carbon. I mean, I watched the Netflix documentary Kiss the Ground. I agree with you. I'm convinced. Thank you, Pak Kade. And Pak Endra, what is one action point from Yayasan Lengis HIJAU?
Okay, during the pandemic, I learned a lot from some people in Bali, philosophically, like Trikaya Parisuda, Trivita Karana, and it's just find out that actually kitchen is the central of universe. Kitchen is the most important thing is in Bali. It can be kind of the source of the solution. Means that actually we can start from our kitchen, separate our waste, and since I working dealing with waste cooking oil, maybe I need the support from all of you to start from your kitchen, separate your waste cooking oil, make sure you store it safe, then you may start just deliver to Yayasan Lengis HIJAU, or use it for the proper thing like a bar soap that's easy to make from home, or bio candle also easy to make from home, and then to make sure that your family also responsible with the waste cooking oil from your home, from your kitchen.
Thank you, Endra. See, your waste oil is someone else's gold, so you can sell it to do you say sell it or deliver it to Yayasan Lengis HIJAU?
Yes, Lengis HIJAU actually now trying to work with community-based tourism, working with village and with community-based garbage management. So we give compensation if they bring directly to Yayasan Lengis HIJAU, we compensate 4,000 rupiah per liter.
Per liter. Okay, wow. Okay. Good.
If they bring directly to Yayasan Lengis HIJAU.
All right, so now we're entering the panelist discussion where we have the three speakers all together. And let's just talk about obstacles. Obviously, COVID has been a huge obstacle. Does anybody want to share one of their toughest obstacles so far during this COVID period? Gary, you want to go first? Any obstacles?
Well, man, I think, we've been very lucky in early days of COVID. I would say not so much, but like more so like in about August and like mid days of COVID, where like community engagement allowed us every week to do massive cleanups, anywhere between 60 people and 200, all doing jaga jarak with a masker, obviously, with gloves and boots. But, the sense of Bali closing its doors, I feel like a lot more people have had time to reflect and to want to be part of the change. So for us, it's been much more of a release. But, until like last week, when we thought that we were invincible, some of our closest circle, had been impacted by COVID. So I think that, right now, more than ever, at least for South Bali and Canggu and Badung, we're at a peak. And, 1 million cases this week in Indonesia. Things are just really beginning. And I think that we really have to try to stay positive, because we're in this for a couple of months, for maybe a year or two, and we can't lose the energy and the momentum to try to continue the battle.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in Canggu, you don't even believe COVID is real. But to hear that some of your close members of the team got COVID, man, I hope they get better. So yeah, thank you for sharing. What about Pak Kade and Endra? Any obstacles? No obstacles?
Sorry. For me, do you hear my voice?
All good, all good.
Okay. So our focus actually is to educate, to give socialization, awareness, and everything. That's why we insist to the government to they have to build us facilities with a theater, because there's unconscious mind. One of them to tackle is by giving something that touch their emotional. So we would like to have film that give them emotional feeling so they can is encouraged to participate, at least to change the.
And has it been more challenging during COVID? Has it been more harder?
Yeah. We prepared everything, you know, our film and everything. We targeting. We did that in the past, yeah. In 2012, we did socialization in Banjar, go from one Banjar to another. But we try to update them information in our theater, because that will giving them something different, you know, with the, you know, the voice and everything. Something what happened in the pool, what ice, you know, happening there or whatever, because some people don't have that idea.
Right.
Or even something in the on the beach, people some are not aware of that yet. Yeah.
I mean,
So,
yeah, I guess you know, even especially during COVID, people are no longer thinking about composting because they're thinking about survival. So it must be a huge obstacle. What about Pa Endra? I mean, I would say from all the speakers, like I said, so many obstacles in the waste oil industry. You know, you have first a link with the petrol prices. You have the black market of used oil. You have the conflict of people using regular fuel compared to biofuel. You know, is it just more of the same obstacle with COVID, or is it a whole different game?
Outside of the COVID condition, there are 5 big challenges that we are facing now. The first is the community awareness, where people consider it is not a waste, it is not dangerous, it is not harmful. Therefore, since beginning, we continue the education to school, community group, and everything. That's the first. And the second is there are no existing clear regulation from the government, even though we try to keep advocating them. But lucky that now we managed to advocate the government in Jakarta during Pak Ahok era. They managed to make peraturan gubernur or governor regulation, but only governor regulation is supposed to be followed by technical regulation that makes sure people can follow the system. And that regulation actually we already bring to government of Bali. Almost the mayor of Denpasar signed the local regulation, but unfortunately it's turned off due to some political reasons or some other reasons. The third is that the energy to convert used cooking oil and technology is quite complicated and high cost until right now. Even for the catalyst, we try to produce by ourselves, but the quality become lower because there is standard quality that we have to meet. There's national standard Indonesia 2012, and more it will be increased the quality. I mean, the standard will be increased by the government. That's also difficult to kind of to meet. And then the fourth, in terms of the user, when I mean in the sales and marketing, it is also quite complicated because we have to compete with subsidized price, where the diesel oil there are subsidized and industrial. The unclear regulation make kind of to create another challenge. There is a mid price, means the blending between subsidies oil and industrial oil. So it is very difficult for us to compete.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you have one of the biggest challenges because your competition is subsidized diesel from the government. I mean, that's just crazy. Let's talk a bit about your different characters, right? So we have KADEK Ardana in the extreme, who doesn't want to be in the spotlight, and then you have Gary, who's actually very good to bring forward his case. You know, do you want to share either Pakade or Gary about the different methods of getting their program, you know, to have the movement have commitment? Because both, I would say, are successful projects. Rumah Kompas is very much alive, and Sungai Watch is very much alive, as well as, of course, you know, Make a Change World. It's a huge, it's a well-known organization. But do you want to share about the kind of the technique or the mindset behind it? Let's go with Pakade first. What's the mindset being, you know, behind the scene? Is it because you're shy? Is it because is it cultural? You know, what's the mindset behind it? And then we're gonna ask Gary about the other end. You know, Gary, who's not afraid to document his work, to show his work. You know, that kind of difference in methodology. So, Pakade, what's the reason? Is it because you're shy? Is that the reason?
Is I think more because of the cultural, cultural background. Balinese, you know, in Bali, there is a proverb. A proverb, I think.
Yeah, peribahasa proverb. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't. How should I say it in English? So let some people give you what you are, you know, give you the credit. For example, if you are a hero, you will not saying that I'm a hero. That is very strange in Bali, you know, but people will say it. Yeah. Another reason that is for example, in our hotel, for example, I want to do this, you know, in happy way. I don't want to have a stress. If I promote something, marketing it, that having something, you know, implication of, you know, always being really good, you know. So other reason, I don't want to be on the spot, you said, yes, because I don't, to me, being on the spot or people like a celebrities or like, you know, our freedom is lost, you know. If I go to, for example, a place where people dump their garbage illegally, I will just talk to the people. Why? What is their their mindset? Why they let them to do it? They have the way of thinking where they are benefited. Oh, then if I'm coming as a person which is well known, then maybe that is difficult. Like sometimes go with the object, you know, something like that. And in a village, okay, if you say a founder of the Rumah Compost, that is a village project, belong to the village, yeah, and highly request participation of the villagers member to separate the garbage. First, the village have to give the land. First, they have to do the separation in disciplined way. In that kind of context, in Bali, we don't want to be seen. We have a personal interest, you know.
So
we
basically,
have a personal benefit from that project.
So you're saying from a culture point of view, it's just, especially for Balinese, you don't want to be seen as the center of attention. Now back to the other side, Gary, you know, obviously you have to imagine, I mean, I can't even imagine, because, you know, you suddenly get attention from the president, and from a handsome guy, you become the handsome guy who met President Jokowi, you know. What's your take on this? You know, it's like, do you want to share your experience about this or your point of view?
I mean, I've never really thought about it that way. I guess, you know, it was just a random guy going down the Citarum River to try to make to try to show that, you know, waste has value and we should really start thinking about our rivers differently. And, you know, all of a sudden, overnight, our videos went viral, kayaking the most polluted river in the world. You know, I think that we were trying to create the most shocking visual as content creators and filmmakers to really hit, you know, home. When you think about some of the content out there that's been produced, you know, like Rich Orner, the British diver that dived Nusa Penida, where you have the plastic everywhere at Manta Point, or when you see the images of Bali, you know, on January 1st, fully, people like relate to visuals. And I think as filmmakers, we've always looked at that. And so the Cheetah Room, I think, you know, it was not too much about us, but it was about what was going on. And our plastic bottle kayaks was the symbol. Quite similarly to our trash barriers now, you know, they're the symbol. They're capturing trash every single day. Let's try to make as much buzz as that as a solution. So yeah, I don't really, you know, I really don't think of myself as an influencer, of course not. I'm just an ordinary guy trying to solve this river plastic pollution problem with an amazing team, and let's see how much change we can make.
I completely agree. You know, there's no, not like one person I respect so much like yourself, because your ability to move people, which is really amazing. And I think there's so many things that we can learn from you, you know, still. Endra, I haven't pointed at you because I couldn't figure out whether you're in the which side you're on. You know, are you in the more um, uh, I want to be in the background or I want to be in the foreground? Because there's no right and wrong. It's just different personalities. Where do you put yourself, by the way?
Uh, During the last 2 years, I put myself on the front, but the last 4 years, I put myself as the thinker behind of the activity. Because anyway, if I'm working alone and then put myself as like the figure of the, this will be useless. Therefore, now like Yayasan Lengis HIJAU and PT Bali Job also talking a lot with community as kind of giving just issue and inspiration. And luckily now we have like, there are a lot of movement in Indonesia, such as Jelanta for Change that have a lot of now kind of the representative in Indonesia. Then recently Waste for Change also joined. So basically we are only the one, we would like to put ourselves as kind of the engine or the motor who inspire people, because anyway we cannot work alone. And especially this is one another challenge that I would like to kind of inform to the forum, that Indonesia is the biggest user of biodiesel. In one way it is good, but in one way give us another warning, because right now Indonesia using B30 means 30% of biodiesel. The challenge has been very big since the demand of biodiesel is a lot. The chopping trees for the palm plantation also big. And a weeks ago, I also kind of have a conversation Zoom meeting with one of organizations in Jakarta that inform me soon Indonesia will increase the use of biodiesel into B40, which means the demand on biodiesel is increased. Therefore, I need all of your support to campaign that waste cooking oil can be another source to prevent the chopping of forest to the palm.
Reducing chopping of forests because when you use a biofuel, amazing. Now we're entering the last stage of the webinar, where it's an open Q&A, where we invite the audience to ask questions to the panelists. Do we have anybody with questions? I see here Madi Gusta. So Madi Gusta is from the Green School.
Hello.
Hi, Madi Gusta.
Hello,
Which of the speakers do you know?
Endra, Pak Endra. I worked together before with him between Green School and Lengis HIJAU.
Okay. All right. And what is your opinion about biofuel? Is it different? Is it the same?
That's I think the same with Pak Endra said. I'm sorry too loud here because I'm on the iHub lab. I just want to share my experience on the biobus during we use a biodiesel as our fuel. So I am the man on the video that you share that Pak Endra play. That's the experience. That's the true thing, like how the smell of the biodiesel like that, and the problem on the field, because we try to connect to the restaurant with our student before. What Pak Endra said on the field, we get that too. Like, but the most challenges on the field is not just the price of normal solar on the market, but the price of used cooking oil that happen now. Like there is a black market, there is a big business behind of the used cooking oil. You know, like Pak Endra said, the people
they're collecting waste oil.
Yeah, they're collecting waste oil.
And actually, Pamade, it got me thinking. Considering that we have, you know, a awarded filmmaker such as Gary. Gary, I'm just curious, how would you showcase the whole biofuel situation better? Would it be you have to make a video about the day-to-day struggle of collecting biofuel? How would you elevate this story? Since you're here and since you're you're well known of creating a splash in the news, how would you elevate this since you're here?
I mean, I think, yeah, I think it would be amazing we're experiencing fuel and, we're experiencing cooking oil in the river every single day. And you're seeing the batches of river coming down in Subak. And sometimes, when we started, we didn't have any equipment. It was just bare hands, no gloves. And you get gatal for a few days. You see the direct consequences. So I think that, one of the ways that we could look at it would be to do some water tests, just out of villages, looking at, the popular spots of Bali. Nobody's really tested them in terms of the water quality. I'm sure that if you looked at Kuta Beach or Sanur Bay, you can find some traces of used cooking oil. And, once people know the true impacts it has on our skin, on our health, in the environment, then I think people can look at it a very different way. But I mean, I truly applaud, both the work of Bapak ENDRA and Pamade. Pamade, by the way, you look a lot older. I'm kidding. No, but you guys are true heroes, and I would love to connect and see, how we can try to work together.
That's actually a good point. Paendra, you have to showcase the negative impacts of oil in water. You know that Gary's doing this every day, which is amazing, because for all the three speakers, they get their hands dirty. That is for sure. But what Gary said is showcase the negative effects of oil. You test the water, you show the results, and that's what's so amazing. What Gary recently published was it called the water report, the plastic report. It creates news. It creates awareness. Like, oh man, they took all this time to compile all this information, and you can't ignore it. So thank you, Pamade. Thank you again for your service for the biofuel, and Paendra and Gary for your suggestion. From the audience, do we have anyone have any questions? We have Rob from the practice. Hi, Rob.
Hi there, Krishna, and hi there, panel. You guys are all amazing, and really interesting to have the central theme of waste, as I call it. Here's a question or a comment for Krishna. Some of you may or may not know, Krishna's created an amazing initiative called Compost Heroes. So I know he's very passionate about that. What I was thinking was, how about adding a little extra? If you put your cooking oil in a suitable container, we'll pick that up for you as well. And then, because I'm sitting here going, cooking oil, I haven't really thought about it. We eat pretty healthy. We don't use a lot of oil, but if I've got a liter of oil, I'm here going, I'm ashamed to say, I don't know what my staff does with it. Maybe, just maybe, it goes down the sink and ends up in the river, where Gary and his team, experience it. So perhaps that's an idea, Krishna, you could add. Say, hey, and we'll pick up your cooking oil because the composting that Krishna is involved in actually goes to the HIJAU community garden, and there's another source of revenue, which obviously makes it a win-win-win. So the compost is cleaner, ENDRA is getting some oil, and Gary's going, cool, I don't have to stick my hands so much in oil. So I don't know, just an observation and a thought.
That's a really good collaboration idea right there. This is actually very actionable. And I don't know why I didn't think about this earlier, but this is why we have this webinar, to wake up some people and be like, Krishna, that's an amazing idea. Okay, yeah, cooking oil. Amazing. Thank you, Rob. Thank you for that comment. Anybody from the audience?
Hetty.
Hi, Hetty. Yes.
Hi. How are you? Good?
Very good, Hetty. Hi, baby. Hetty. There's a baby beside Hetty. Nice.
Yeah, I actually got two. I've got twins.
Oh, wow.
and grandchildren.
Do you have a
Yeah.
question or comment for the panelists?
I do. My comment is working in education that all of you guys, it would be really cool. The kids love to see things like experiments and the results. So I like that someone said before, like the end result, you show the end result of something. Like I think it was KADEK, talking about the compost, and then that gives the whole picture. You can see the big picture right from the beginning to the end. And so for education for children and for awareness, things like YouTube videos that actually show that close up of oil and water, or those processes with the plastic, fascinating things like that. But just experiments, the kids love that sort of thing. If they could be tied in and done on site, and then that also is something that maybe schools and centres, when we reopen again, can come and visit you, and that will draw us in because we saw something on YouTube. Yeah, just a suggestion. Yeah.
That's a good point. So from the panelists, can people visit your place? So yeah, please, anyone go first. KADEK.
Yeah. Of course. We actually plan to have that as a kind of a destination, a tourist destination, even, become our alternative of having another revenue. We have now, if only we have a visit without explanation, then no fee. But in our place now, we set up 25,000 per person if they would like to have a guide to our facilities.
This is Tegal Sari Accommodation, yeah?
No, I mean the Rumah Kompos. Are you talking about the Tegal Sari?
Oh, I'm
Tegal
saying
Sari, you just come and visit, and as more people coming, we are very happy to know our place. But I'm talking about the Rumah Kompos.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, because we would like to show them how the film, of course, if you see that film in total, how the journey of the garbage from the houses, and then how we process them, and then how we use them in our garden, to show them also that our compost is different than at the end result in our garden, because many people are only focusing on what the nutrition in the compost, let's say, nitrogen, how is the composition of phosphorus and calcium for it, something like that. But our compost also focusing on how much microbe that is in our compost that will make the soil alive again, because they are the one who works so then the soil can be the storage of the carbon.
Thank you, Pak KADEK.
Can I just make a quick point there? For senior students in high school that are studying science and biology, these things are really important. And as a teacher, we look for things like this all the time. It's needed on Bali for the children that are being educated on Bali, so they can follow it through with the science right through to higher levels. Then you get real change.
What about you, Gary? Do you have any things to visit? Can we visit the research center? Or...
So we have tours happening. Just go on our Instagram to visit our research station to see what we're doing with the plastics, and then you can come. We have a weekly cleanup on Fridays that's community driven. So if you wear a mask, if you're going to be protected, you can come and come and clean the rivers with us. But yeah, we're definitely can't wait to get back in action as soon as schools open up again. We've been doing a lot of webinars and things like that, but that's not the true experience.
Yeah, I'll admit that when I did the Sunlight Watch, it was really a lot of fun, but I wasn't wearing my mask. I was very naughty. Pak ENDRA, can we visit the Yayasan Lengis HIJAU? I know I went there, I found it on Google and I went there. But is it open to the public?
Yeah, since the beginning of the operation, we open to the public. That's also one of our activity in education. So we open for the school from pre-elementary school until university. And for the result also, like for example, the bioproduct candle is also the result of this cooperation. We also have experience received some students for internship for about 3 months from Swiss German University in Jakarta. We're working with local university. So in principle, we are actually open for that, even though during the last 2 years, we quite selective, especially for the university who do the internships and school. We want that people who coming to us really, people that really want to learn something, then to do the action. Therefore, now we kind of learning from the green school, what green school done, we learn how to integrate experiential learning into our activity. So people coming to us not only see what is our activity, but experientially they involve in our activity. So basically we open.
Thank you, ENDRA. All right, we're almost at the end of this webinar. We're just gonna have one more question from the audience. Who's gonna be? Is it gonna be Scott, Inda, or Johnny? I see your video on. Johnny, do you have a question? You wanna share?
Yes, no, I do have a question for Pak Andrew and Pak Gary. I'm very embarrassed to say that I had to check with the kitchen to see what we do with our cooking oil, and apparently it goes into the compost. Is that a good or a bad idea?
From our experience, when cooking oil meet with the compost, this will be kind of a complicated, the process of composting. This will rise the carbon emission. So of course, this will be kind of difficult for composting. So personally, I suggest to separate between this cooking oil and what you call organic things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to separate. Yeah, I think Pak Kadek will also agree that you have to separate oil and organic waste.
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Johnny. I see Michelle just put on her video. Do you have a question for the panelists? No questions. Like no, don't pick me. No. All right, so we're ending it. Oh yes, ENDRA wants to showcase the candle. So this is the work you can do with waste oil, and they are selling it. So if you're interested, you can buy it there. Now, let's have a closing statement from all the speakers. And let's have first from Gary. Gary, thank you again for being a speaker. You know, your videos are really motivating. There was one question I wanted to ask was to all the panelists. You know, how do you keep going, especially during this hard time? I'll be honest. You know, some days at the family business, which is Serenity, I feel like I just want to take a holiday. It's too much. But the fact that you guys keep on going and keep on doing what you're doing, I just want to say, you know, really big thank you. I have so much respect for all of you. So thank you. So yeah, Gary, closing remarks, closing statement. The floor is yours.
Thanks, my man. Thank you. You know, I think rivers are the true heartline of our planet. And if we look at them a very different way, especially now, you know, when we look at the beach on Kuta being completely filled with plastic pollution, our goal this year is to set up 100 trash barriers on Bali and 80 in East Java to make sure that whatever happened in Kuta never happens again. You know, and this is something that I've been living by for 16 years of my life, growing up on just a couple minutes away from Kuta Beach. So we're going to try to do everything that we can to stop it. But you know, we keep doing what we do because in 2050, you know, stats show that there's going to be more plastics in the ocean than fish, and that's something, you know, that we can't ignore. So I think that, you know, there needs to be humongous action that's being taken. And as you know, as was said earlier, Bali is this magical place where things blossom and things happen. So you know, I hope that this year especially will be a big one for the environment and for each of our projects.
Thank you, Gary. Rivers of the Hearts, they're targeting 100 trash barriers in Bali and 80 in Java. And yes, by the way, you can sponsor for a trash barrier. So if you want to support the Sungai Watch project, reach out to Gary and you can sponsor your very own trash barrier. Thank you, Gary. Pak Kadek, closing remarks, closing statements. The floor is yours.
Okay, I think without underestimate other effort, yeah, because I really appreciate what Gary did, or other communities do a lot of cleans up a lot around Bali, especially, you know. But to me, it's very important. We have to do massive education, you know, because without changing how they respond, how they see this issue, the garbage will always still on the river and then it goes to the sea. So, and we cannot just do it here and there. You need to really focus and evaluate, you know. So there is there are a lot of movement here. I noticed, you know, in several villages, people are even young people who came to our Rumah Kompos and then would like to do something in their village, but they have obstacles, different way of thinking with the elders, you know. So then we have to, that's why I said it's a massive education from the top. Those who have a power, authority, have to see this is also one of the priority. Otherwise, they will just do their day-to-day just as normal, you know. Badong, they said, it said only in 6 months the landfill can receive the garbage. So what happened after that? So it's really something in urgent state. So basically, we need something like a grand design that massive, and also there is evaluation, you know. What we did, for example, in the past, at the beginning of our movement in the village, we distributed our bag, yeah. So they don't use plastic bag, but we don't really then evaluate where their bag goes. Then after, do they use it? Why they don't use it? Yeah. So how they use it? Why not? And something like that. Then we you know, step by step can maybe adjust our approach and do something with different strategy better than what before. You know, that's what I think. Wow. Without that, is still in the same situation. Yeah.
Massive education and evaluation is needed. I mean, that's
one thing. Maybe very interesting. Yeah, if you allow me, I've ever noticed one school. Yeah, is accompanied by one LSM or NGO. Yeah, for 1 year, educated. Or I mean, they teach everything, including how to make a compost gardening. You know, after the head school changed, everything changed. Nothing continues. You know, we did the same thing. We do a garbage collection from school who doesn't have. Let's say the school the student in their village don't have the service of garbage pickup service yet. So they bring the garbage to the school, and then we help. I mean, the non-organic one, yeah, plastic and everything. Then we collect them in their school. So but then after the head of the school changed.
That's so sad.
It's not continued. Yeah.
But thank you to keep up the good work. I know it can be so depressing, you know. I know that especially for Canggu, the village chief might change and everything might change also, the whole Compost Heroes. So thank you for sharing that, Pak KADEK. And Pak ENDRA, closing remarks.
Yes, on behalf of Yayasan Lengis HIJAU, we do really need all of your support and then your involvement, because this problem is really a huge problem for Bali and for Indonesia. Like, Indonesia is kind of the haven of this cooking oil. So we really need your involvement in education, advocation. You may, this is the basic thing. We invite you to start from your kitchen. Then you may also use the bio candle from us. Or if not, we do welcome your involvement and your support in our community-based initiation, where we work with community-based garbage management and village, how to gather waste cooking oil from kitchen to village or to the garbage community-based garbage management and bring to us to ensure that this whole the program is systemized, integrate. Like, for example, we just start with the staff of Pak KADEK, working with Tegal Compost Tegal to work with it. ya rumah kompos. So we really to strengthen this cooperation, means the cooperation that involve a lot of community, involve you all, starting from education, advocation, and action. So that's all from us.
Wow, you have to strengthen collaboration. So for all the people who joined today, you know, a really big thank you. Let us remind together what we just heard. We've heard from Gary with Sungai Watch that it's super important not to throw waste in the river. I'm oversimplifying. Gary's gonna be like, no, that you're oversimplifying. But basically, don't forget that your waste thrown into the river, it's not gonna just magically vanish. We learned from Pakade that soil requires lots of bacteria,
Organism.
microorganisms, thank you, to survive. So you don't throw your waste just like that, turn it into compost. And from Pa Endra, we looked at the impact of waste oil in water. A liter of waste oil destroys our fresh water. So don't throw your waste oil just like that. Now we're ending the webinar. I want to say a big thank you to the audience. If you notice today, we finished at 3:30 because we're trying to see if this is going to be working better. So we'll love your feedback. You can please share it to Alex or I about how you like the shorter webinar. It was too short, I feel, but I did feel it was more to the point. And a big thank you for the speakers again for being a speaker. And this is Krishna signing off. Bye, everybody.
Right.
Thank you.